The Huskers need to win both of its remaining games in order to go bowling for the first time since 2016. Up first for the Big Red, a showdown in the nation's capital against Maryland. Reporter Phil Bergman and Adam Kruger have more on this weekend's game.
Back here at Memorial Stadium, I'm Adam Kruger alongside Phil Bergman. And Phil, a game at Maryland this Saturday for the Huskers. Nebraska trying to snap a 4-game losing streak and needing to win their final 2 in order to get to a bowl game.
It's going to be a big game for the Huskers. I'm sure we'll talk about Maryland a little bit later, but the Huskers coming off this loss to Wisconsin, where it wasn't an awful loss, but it wasn't a great loss either, and hopefully Nebraska's going to use the good plays against the Badgers and move forward against the Terps.
Yeah, Scott Frost did like the improvement from his offensive line, arguably called it the offensive line's best game of the year. Dedrick Mills, 188 yards on the ground. Kind of feels like the JUCO transfer starting to get it for the Big Red after kind of an up and down first 9 games of the year.
Yeah, I personally think that maybe not having another competition with Maurice Washington in the running back room is giving Mills that extra confidence. And he told us after the game Saturday that competing against Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the nation, gave him that extra edge, and he really got to show the Huskers faithful what he can produce on the Big Ten stage.
So Nebraska heads to College Park to face the Terps, the only Big Ten venue they have yet to visit during their time in the conference, and a Maryland team that's struggling itself, losers of 6 straight. But I'm sure the Terps will look at Nebraska and say, hey, the Huskers have lost quite a few. This might be the one game we can get this year still.
Yeah, Maryland's not a football school. They're more of a basketball school, but they started the season undefeated, and then they got blown out by Penn State and has been taking a nosedive since then. But it's been a different direction for the two programs since they last played in 2016. Back then, Nebraska beat Maryland here at home on a nice November day to finish the 2016 season undefeated at home. Maryland was one of the worst teams in the Big Ten at that point. They've kind of turned it around under their new head coach and are turning around in the right direction, and a win at home against Nebraska would be a huge win for that program.
Although the Huskers do need to win their final 2 games of the season to become bowl eligible, Scott Frost saying he is not bringing that up with his team. He basically flat out said that's the media's job, is to bring up bowl eligibility and all that stuff. And maybe he's not bringing it up because maybe this team is too mentally fragile to have any pressure placed on them. Nobody expected them to do anything against Wisconsin. Maybe that's why they did so well, because nobody expected anything out of them.
I'm not Scott Frost. I'm not a head coach, but I played a lot of competitive sports. And the one thing I would do if I was on this team is use going to a bowl game as motivation for these final 2 games. When you get into the grind of a season, you need whatever motivation you can get to really inspire you. And I think going to a bowl game and having an extra month of practice is the easiest motivation out there. So I kind of disagree with Coach Frost on this side, but I'm also a member of the media, so I guess I'm the ones that should be disagreeing with him about this.
So Scott Frost not wanting to talk about bowl eligibility and kind of got off topic a little bit. Scott Frost very brief with the media, especially near the end, kind of tired of talking about leadership and whatnot and big picture things. Really just wants to focus on Saturday's game, 1 game at a time, and just getting his team better, showing signs of improvement. And it could be argued they have shown signs of improvement coming off that Wisconsin loss.
But at the same time, Scott Frost has been talking about how he's sick of the silver linings and just wants the teams to improve. I'm a firm believer that if Nebraska starts winning, Scott Frost will be a lot more excited at these press conferences, and maybe he'll have things to talk about. I think the fact that he's won everywhere he's gone his whole career and has now had 2 losing seasons or 500 season at best this year is just getting to him, and I think he's starting to almost take it out on the media during these weekly press conferences.
We'll see how the Huskers handle one more road game this season, Saturday at Maryland, starting at 2:30 on the Big Ten Network. For Phil Bergman, I'm Adam Kruger reporting from Memorial Stadium.